Well, hey guys, welcome back to a long-awaited episode of 0 to 60. Now I know it's such an awful situation, but some of you know what's going on. I don't want to talk about it. I'm just going to say this. Somebody took my laptop, a man. He said he was going to give it back, and then he didn't give it back, and he still hasn't given it back, and I haven't had any gear to actually make any videos, so I'm really sorry there's been such a delay, and because of the delay, I thought I'd better come back with something a bit special, something a bit unique that nobody else has really done that I'm aware of in the world. And it is a single turbo E46 M3 with an N54 built by Mr. Daniel Buckner from Simply Tuning. Now, if you don't know, Daniel, I've got a lot of love and respect for Daniel. He built O'Reilly. So if you've been in the M54 world for a long time, this was the first man to do a 9-second pass in an M54. Knows how to make them work. Why did you do this?
I wanted it to be reliable.
So Dan has had N54. When did you get your first N54?
2014 maybe?
2014, so that's a little while ago. That's 8 years.
Yeah.
8 years to be plagued with such a beautiful engine. This come about because we did feature this car on the channel. We walked past it when we had O'Reilly on Your Dyno last year, and Dan sort of pitched the idea or the concept of what he was trying to do with this, because we all know that the M54 has a few faults. Wastegate rattles, direct injection, and with the cost of the Index 12 injectors at the moment, that direct injection thing is just horrible. So what Dan was kind of doing with this was going for a standalone ECU, get rid of the DI, and basically make it with tried and tested parts from other platforms.
Yeah.
Getting it to work with the M54, get it to work as a daily driver, get it to work as a drift car, put it through its paces, and then come up with this setup that you can do for other people, I guess. That's what it's about, because you're in business.
Yep, yeah.
Sometimes he makes cars for other people, not just himself. So talk me through what you've done. What is it? I know this is a standard N54.
Yep, yeah, dead standard. This one, I didn't even bother doing gaskets on, it just sort of went in. It's got a Haltech Elite 2500 forward-facing intake manifold from somewhere overseas.
Still using the factory M54 throttle body?
Yep, factory throttle body.
Actually, before you go too far, going back to the Haltech 2500, so that's a little bit up the range of the Haltech ECUs. It's not the base model.
No.
Is there a reason you went with the 2500, not a cheaper one?
The 2500 does 6-cylinder sequential and drive-by-wire, plus knock control, flex fuel, and
I guess it's an ECU that has the power to run one of these things like they should be run.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose any of the factory N54 features, apart from direct injection. Do you feel that you've lost anything by deleting the DI on this?
probably a touch of fuel economy, but that's not sort of why we do this. If we wanted fuel economy, we'd probably drive 320Ds all day.
Okay, all right, so you've gone that way. What else have you done to the setup? I noticed you've got the PRP coils.
Yep, so it's got 35 GDR coils, 1000cc Bosch injectors, T67 G-Ready turbo.
Did you say 1000cc injectors?
Yep.
That's it?
Yep.
So it makes all this power on 1000cc injectors?
Yep. They're at their limit, but yeah, it's got thousands. I wanted to cap myself. I didn't want to keep pushing it to the point where I break it all the time.
Cool. Is that why you've left it stock?
Yeah.
So that you know how far you can push a customer's engine?
Yeah, yes and no. It was more of a cost versus enjoyment. I didn't want to spend too much money building it, then I wouldn't want to break it, and I built this so I could drive it in a manner to try and break it.
Makes sense to me. I love trying to hear a car enthusiast logic when it comes to saving money, because it's very hard to find the logic. What else have you done to the chassis?
It's got a billet lock kit from Drift HQ in the States. I can't remember who actually makes it. An OS Geekin two-way diff, rear adjustable arms, and coilovers.
So basic setup.
Yep, yeah, fairly basic.
And those that know Dan personally will know that you've been a drifter pretty much your whole life, always been into proper drifting. You know how to set the car up. How do you find the E46 chassis for that?
Really good.
Yep.
Really good.
Comparable to an S chassis?
Yeah, a little bit heavier and maybe a touch longer, a little bit more controllable, more like a Chaser.
Okay.
Like a Toyota Chaser, they feel fairly similar, but yeah, it's just nice, really well balanced.
I see you've got, they look like F-Series M light brakes.
Yeah, they're off a 240i, M240.
Stock rear E46 M3 rear main brakes, but then you've got the Willwood.
Yeah, so it's got a twin caliper setup
Yep.
from SLG.
Have you had any problems with that setup?
Yeah, heaps.
Okay.
Heaps so far.
Do we want to talk about it on the internet?
Not overly.
Okay. It works great, everyone. On the inside, Dan has recently, I say recently, when did you put the M4 seats in?
Probably 6 months ago now.
Okay, not very recently, but it has got the F-Series M4 seats. And you modified the factory handbrake. It's slightly longer than normal.
That's what she said.
And that obviously works as the drift handbrake.
Yeah, it's just so it's in a nice spot. The factory handbrake feels really far back and it's sort of annoying to grab mid-corner. So by extending it forward, it sits next to the gear shifter.
Something I just want to add to that, something that Dan always does with the cars he builds for himself. Like it was the fastest M54 in the world in 2016. 2017,
Yeah.
2018, 2019, for a long time, but stock interior. That car, if you stood on the outside with the bonnet closed, it looked like a factory vehicle. And you kind of done the same with this. Like underneath, this is a serious drift car, but then apart from the slightly extended handbrake, it's a stock interior.
Yeah, it is.
It's not full of holes.
No, I want it to be comfortable, nice to be in.
Factory dash cluster.
Yep.
Looks like you've got an Android head unit.
Yeah, that was from BM Retrofits.
Bryce bringing the goods as always.
Yeah.
I'm just going to come in the other side because I'm kind of curious. So you've got the Willwood secondary calipers, but that handbrake does the factory handbrake and the drift brake.
No, factory handbrake's deleted.
Okay. There we go.
There's a...
I saw a bit of a mechanism.
Yeah, so we built a mechanism back here, which the factory handbrake lever pulls on.
So you fabbed all this?
Yep, that was all done by Brock at Leeson Engineering in-house.
Right. Yeah, that's a serious bit of setup. Dude, I like it. Something that I know the internet is going to ask, how much power does the engine make at the moment?
540 horsepower.
540 at the wheels. That was on your Dyno Dynamics roller?
Yep,
Not
on
a
the
friendly dyno. We didn't touch on the turbo because I know it's nothing special, is it?
Nah, it's a really old G-Ready T67 that was $180 on Marketplace.
And you made the manifold?
Yep.
Dan does manufacture turbo manifolds for the M54s. You've been making them since 2014, 2015?
Yep, yep.
This is one of his low mount ones. Won't fit in an E chassis though.
No, not at all.
Chassis. Fits in an E46 though. They got more room for turbos. Dude, I friggin' love this build. I've loved it since I first saw it. Can you take me for a drive?
Yeah, 100%.
In fact, oh, you know what we haven't spoken about? I always forget this. We've got to do the exhaust.
Oh, yeah.
Because you've got, basically, it's the N54 into a single turbo, then into a factory E46 M3 rear system.
Yep, so it's 3-inch single up to probably just in front of the diff, then splits into the factory M3 twin resonator and the factory rear box.
Right, let's have a listen. It's purring. It's purring like an E46 M3.
Yep.
Sounds like you've got a single mass flywheel in the gearbox?
Yep, it's got a twin plate clutch, one of the ones we do for our N54, like 1 and 3 series cars.
So I drove JB's 1M when he put the Exceedi twin plate clutch in it, and he lost a lot of feel and a lot of, it made his 1M feel like a race car, but I have moved this, I moved it just before, and this almost feels like a standard clutch.
Yeah, so when we originally built the twins, they were the same, very race car feeling and annoying. So we removed a bit of clamp pressure and replaced the first disc with an organic disc and made it feel sort of nearly factory, but still hold that 500-600 horsepower.
I had no idea he was doing that sort of stuff. All right, let's shut it down, we'll go for a spin. I'm excited, I've wanted to go in this since I first saw it. So we're heading off. Initial thoughts, I'm probably talking too loud. It doesn't sound like an N54.
No.
Is that your manifold?
Yeah, well, more than likely.
It's grumbly, it's growly.
Yeah, sounds a lot like a 2J.
You reckon 2J?
Yeah.
That's a bit of a compliment for an N54.
Yeah.
What gearbox is it?
It's just a 135i manual,
Just
standard.
Straight in?
Yep.
Much of an issue to fit that to the E46 chassis?
I had to make 2 spaces to the factory 135i gearbox mount and then it bolted in.
Right. Not too bad.
The front crossmember looks like it was built to take an N54. It sort of follows around the sump profile perfectly. Other than engine mount brackets, we didn't really have to modify anything to get it into the hole.
It's a pretty easy swap if somebody was to have a go. I think I have seen another one of these on the internet in Europe somewhere, an N54 46.
Yep.
I don't know how far they took it or what the setup is. They definitely weren't It sounds like it's going to go.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to go. Oh. Yeah, I think they were running a factory ECU and still got the DI. So you've actually had this on the road with the manual for about a year?
A year and a half, I think.
And Dan does daily this. The reason I was going with that, have you made the N54 more reliable?
I think so. It killed a water pump probably 6 months in, which...
Something that I'll just, the more technical viewers know, this does have a factory N54 water pump, but it's not being run through the same sort of cycles as a factory one, is it? So you run it more like an aftermarket pump.
Yeah, so it's just on and off. When I start the car, it turns on. When I turn the car off, it turns off.
And obviously it works fine cooling that way, but you were kind of hoping that not running the pump at different loads might extend its life a little bit?
Yeah.
How do you find tuning the N54 with an aftermarket ECU instead of the factory DME?
Night and day.
Much better?
Not even comparable.
Well, that's what we want. We want it to be easier. We want to make more power more easy.
Yeah. Originally, this car was supposed to have a DCT in it. I think when you saw it, when I really was on the dyno, we were just sort of getting started with the DCT on it. And I think it was about 8 months in that I scrapped the idea. The software wasn't there at the time to make the DCT work well enough to daily drive it. I want it to be a car that if my wife has to drive it, she gets in it and just drives it.
And I guess that comes down to, you know, if you can give it to your wife, a customer can take it with any level of mechanical ability and not have any issues.
Yeah.
There's lots of modified cars out there where you need to be a cluey mechanic just to daily operate them, because little things are problematic. Dude, I think we're coming up to a nice little stretch of road. We'll give it a bit of stick, eh? I want to see what it feels like.
Yeah.
So, bit of a low gear roll on. Whoa! Jesus Christ, dude. Okay, my initial reaction, and please don't hate me, it pulls like the Flomax car, which we know is a pretty nippy car. But it sounds cool, like single turbo. Also, traction control was on. I saw the traction light flashing. We didn't even brake traction.
No, so DSC still works. I've got a CAN converter that converts all the Haltech signals to BMW, so all the factory dash works.
Oh.
ABS still works.
I hadn't even thought about that. So you've got the Haltech making the car think it's all stock.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, so all the factory tacho, oil temp gauge and work, and all that data is from the Haltech.
Right. Have you added any other sensors to the N54 with the Haltech?
Yeah, it's got fuel pressure and temp, oil pressure and temp, coolant pressure and temp, and flex fuel, obviously. So it's tuned on 98 and E45. And then I put a little Haltech CAN gauge over here in the vent that allows me to have a look at basically everything. Still got wideband O2 control. Basically, it's got everything a factory N54 has, just without direct injection.
So, cool. So you're still controlling the Vanos and all that sort of stuff?
Yep. Yeah. Everything still works.
I guess the engine. Don't forget, guys, we are in a drift car on a country road here, and even the suspension's not too bad. But the engine, even though it doesn't sound like an N54, it's got N54 mannerisms. The way the power come in around that 4,000 RPM, that's when you get your surge. It feels good.
Yeah.
It doesn't have a funny idle.
No, I wanted it to feel like a nice car.
Shit, what? All right, maybe a little bit more than the Flomax car. Maybe a little bit more. Oh, I love it. All right, dude, can I have a drive?
Yeah, 100%.
Another thing, how good are F82 seats?
Yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's huge. I always get nervous driving someone else's car, especially something this significant. What's the stock 46 M3 worth these days?
A lot, I think. I haven't really looked, but I think probably around 40 these days.
Right, and then you've probably done 50, 60 grand's worth of work to it? So a $100,000 car? All right, cool. I do like the clutch. Which my Evo clutch fell on it. All right, we're going. Clutch feels like a standard clutch. That is crazy. You done anything with the shifter?
No, that's a factory E46 M3 shifter.
Feels tight. Seating position's great. It's drivable. We're nowhere near boost, but maybe we are near boost. It's making spool noises.
Yeah. pretty
Oh,
torquey.
it does, doesn't it? It comes on early. That makes boost before the Flowmax turbos make boost.
Yeah.
It's easy to drive. I like it. We're in 4th gear, 60 k's an hour. It's an easy car to drive, Dan. Okay, that was gonna go. Wow. Well, thank you for letting me have a drive. I can't help but think, and it's because I've become a huge fan of the Turbo Lamix, that this with, does that just work like normal?
Just pull the button out
Ah,
and it stays up.
a ratcheted hydraulic handbrake. I think this with an 8-speed, cracking on the shifts, that would be pretty sick. I know you had that vision of the DCT back in the day and the software's not quite there, but I know Turbo Lamix has a couple of properly set up drift cars in Europe.
Yeah.
I think it'd be better. I love the clutch. That was fun to drive, but it's got enough power, I think, at 7,000 RPM, shifting, getting a crack, rapid shift. I don't know, it's your car, but
Look, it's what I wanted originally, but
you got to try the auto. What do you guys think? Do you reckon he should put an 8 HP in it? Comment below. We're going to end off there. I know, I'm so sorry it's been such a long time with the videos, everyone. I'm sorry I can't talk about it. I am really sorry that it's messed up all the plans with the workshop. Yes, because they took my laptop, I wasn't able to secure any sponsorships. The guys that wanted to do it, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't even contact them. It's cost me so much money. It's really frustrating. I'm really sorry, but we'll be back. I hope. I'll work something out. We will be back. Thank you everyone for the support. We'll catch you on the next one. And thank you, Dan, for bringing me back with such a cool car.
no worries.
You got anything else?
No.
You don't have any other cars?
No, that's it.
What's that E90 I can see in there?
It's a work in progress.
All right. Catch you.